Hello, Chef Ted here again, and today we're going to show you how to make shrimp Alfredo. Now, growing up, my mom was the best at Alfredo. First, we're going to start off with 6 shrimp. We're going to do a little bit of salt. You always want to season your meat ahead of time. And a little bit of pepper. And now what we're going to do is an oil blend. You can do olive oil as well if you have preferences. Anything that you don't like, just don't put it on in. It's not a big deal. You know, my mom used to make it a specific way. Now I make it a certain way too. Put a little Ted on it is what I like to call it. I'm going to make sure that oil is nice and evenly distributed. And once it's nice and hot, we'll throw in our shrimp. And then we got garlic powder, you got scallions, parsley. I like to put smoked paprika in it, but you don't have to, like I said. And then heavy cream, we got fettuccine. And then we use shaved Parmesan rather than grated. I find that it melts better rather than all getting stuck to the bottom of the pan. Just wait for it to heat up. And you want it to sizzle when you throw it on there. There you go. All we're going to do is we're going to brown one side. Once we brown one side, we'll flip it. We'll throw some butter in there to deglaze any of that brown stuff that's in the bottom. And then we'll add actual garlic. Oh yeah, that sounds so good. There you go. Get the shrimps nice and brown on one side. And if you don't like your shrimp browned, just throw it in. It's not a big deal. You don't have to brown them. That's such a nice sound. Yeah, we actually used to be really known for Alfredo here. We used to have chicken Alfredo on the menu, but as a lobster place, having people come in for chicken Alfredo just isn't something you really want. Oh yeah. And make sure you dry off your shrimp, that way it doesn't top too much. Now we got a slight brown on one side. See the nice brown color? You don't want it too dark, but you want it brown enough. And then we're going to do 1 spoonful of butter. What we're going to do is we're going to mix it around just so it melts pretty evenly. We don't want to throw our garlic in while the butter is melting, because then your butter and garlic will end up burning, and you just don't want that. Okay, now that's brown. We have garlic. I like a lot of garlic in mine. I'm a firm believer, and you can't have too much garlic. Oh my god, just smelling it already. And now what you're going to do is you're going to darken your garlic. You're just going to cook it for like a minute, because you just want it to get a little color, but you don't want it to fully brown. You just want that aroma. Which honestly, oh my god, that smells so good already. Alright, now we're going to add in our heavy cream. And I just do enough to coat the bottom. And once you see that bubbling, we're going to turn it down just a smidgen, because we had it on high in the beginning. There you go. And then this is the perfect time to add your seasonings. So we have garlic powder. Again, never have too much garlic. We're going to do black pepper. Black pepper and salt are always your go-to for this type of sauce. And you can do all this to taste. You don't have to do the same amount that I do. I like to mix it as I'm going. Add a little bit of smoked paprika. Again, you don't have to add this, but I find that it just gives it a nice smoky taste, which I love in everything. There we go. Alright, now it's getting nice and thick. We're going to add a smidgen more heavy cream and then add our noodles. And that's just because we don't want it to really burn or anything like that. And the starch from the noodles will help thicken up that sauce as well. Now that everything's essentially incorporated, since the noodles are going to have to warm up some, that's when we're going to add some Parmesan. And you can add as much or as little as you like. I try to get around 2 ounces for the portion we have, which is roughly around like 6 ounces of pasta. We have 6 shrimp, and then all of your parm. Oh, that looks so good already. I'm just going to kind of distribute it a little bit because I'm trying to heat up that noodle as quick as possible. And then once it gets close to the end, we're going to add dried parsley. I recommend actually doing fresh, just because fresh tends to taste a little better, but we go through it, so it's easier just to have a little dried on hand. And if you ever see that it's getting too thick or too runny, if it's too runny, add a little bit more parm. If it's too thick, add a little bit more heavy cream. You can always then taste it and add whatever extra seasonings that you need. Alright, so now I'm going to add a pinch of parsley. We're going to add a little bit of scallions in there too. And that's just a little bit for color, and who doesn't like onions, you know what I mean? And now it's done. Which, if you don't know a trick, if you take your tongs and actually add it to the center and just twist, 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 you can get all your pasta up into one little tight ball, and then just plate it right in the center. And that way you can kind of like build it up. And we'll add our shrimp. There you go. Nice and cheesy. And then I always scrape the edge. You don't want to waste any of that good cheese in there. There you go. Now you got shrimp Alfredo. Delicious. And see you next time, Chef Ted.